YouTube video uploaded.
It happens. That's part of what you do for a living.
Yeah.
So speaking of, man, congrats on the new kid.
Oh yeah. That's a wild ride, right?
Yeah. I mean, as a man who has no interest in having any of them, you punched back in.
I don't even know what. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Punch back in.
Like, we need to do this again.
This was fun. The first 20 years ago. Let's hit the reset button.
Yeah, man, that's fucking crazy.
Honestly, though, it was. It's totally different this time because if you can imagine being 20 years old with a creature.
No,
that
I don't.
Solely relies on you.
Oh, man.
For its life.
I'm not comfortable with that at 37.
Yeah. So at 20, I was like, when my 18-year-old would cry, I was like, is she dying? Is something what is happening here? And then now at 38, I'm like, bud, you're okay. You'll be fine.
Right. Yeah. I think the
stress just isn't there.
Yeah. Especially now, this is number 3 for you.
Yeah.
And so you have to have a way different feeling of like their resilience level as babies is like it's fine.
It'll buff out.
You'll get a couple drops. It's like a brand new cell phone.
Yeah. Now it's yours. Once you drop it a couple times, you dent it. You can't take it back. It's yours.
Right. You get a couple drops before the screen breaks.
Right. Right.
Yeah, man. It's very cool, man. But is this whole thing a conspiracy to finally lock intelligent people down at home long enough that they start spitting out kids again?
No. Well, I don't know. That totally could be. This whole
They're
thing
home, they'll fuck.
Because of our situation, little Dimitri is a test tube baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I will let him know as he grows older. You were made in a lab.
Like fucking Wolverine.
Yeah, exactly. And
hell of a lineage.
Yeah, what wasn't quite a conspiracy there because we had to pay money to create this creature, So little bit different for us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
can you imagine
to change things.
What was it? Drifta Lifta season 2 when we first met.
Yeah.
And Allie and I were rolling around drinking Four Locos and lifting weights, and
it's been a journey.
Create a human being.
Well, and also think about changes, right? Like I think about how long we've known each other and that, and like just seeing evolution of things. Like you're no longer doing STS.
No.
Right. And at that point, that was a thing you were full in.
Because I thought I had to.
Of course. Because you thought you had to.
Because I thought I had to. Yeah.
When was the shift for you that something else clicked and you found this other voice?
Well, I think there's a lot of those. I think there's a lot of those shifts and clicks. But the biggest one was, two things. Do you remember Smoke Check?
Yeah.
It was like that high intensity workout shooting.
Yeah. That one.
Now it's a total thing.
Yeah. Bert and those guys were all, I remember all that.
So I wanted to shoot it, but I wanted to make it like a little mini documentary. And so Allie shot it and edited the whole thing. And we produced this like little 4-episode series on it. And I was more interested in the production value and the production and telling that story than I was the actual training. And that's when she was like, yeah, I don't think this is your bag. Like anytime you're standing on the firing line talking about someone's grip, you seem miserable.
I couldn't be any more bored.
I couldn't be any more bored.
Well, I think that's true, right? I think it takes special people that can do that type of teaching, that beginner teaching.
Yeah.
When just because you have the skills doesn't make you a coach.
Right. And it doesn't make you like, you have to be passionate about, just like a coach. Like any coach that's not passionate about being a coach is a shitty coach.
Right. And it's not going to work out long term.
It's not going to work out long. Right. And they damn sure won't make a career out of it. So then that happened, and then Discovery Channel happened, which was a complete failure. But
Man, I think about that, right? Because I think about how many people, especially like listen to this story, how many people think, poof, it happened.
Yeah, right.
Right? Like
Sure.
there was a moment. There's not a fucking moment.
No.
It's just this slow, steady, trying to figure it out, making progress.
I remember we talked about that years because we were like, when is the poof going to happen?
Doesn't.
And you said to me, you're like, actually, I asked that same question to Mark Bell
and Kelly
like,
and everyone I've ever spoke to.
There's not. It's just this linear, slow grind up.
Yeah. So had a weird insight regarding that last night. And as someone else who likes movies, I think you'll appreciate. I'm willing to bet we had a very different evening. As a man-child at this age and damn near 40 and little to no responsibility of my life other than myself, ate a lot of mushrooms yesterday and hung out in the basement. And so at some point, the night had got toward the tail end of it, and we were watching Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Classic, easy to watch, fall asleep to. Yeah. Great thing. No surprises here.
Yeah. Gonna laugh, have a good time.
Yeah. So Paul Rudd's character, this stoner surfer, man, there's this line where he's talking to the fucking big, tall, goofy guy. I can't think of his name offhand, but either way, he's talking to him, and he's like, "Oh man, you got a lot of sadness behind your eyes." And he's like, "Yeah, a little bit." He's like, "You know what's great for that? Weed. Do you have any?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Well, let's go surfing." Like that's next. Yeah. And like the brilliance of that line, right? And it's last night, like I guess one of the way the mushrooms were manifesting was like I could kind of see the big picture. Yeah. And the big picture being, it's easy to look at that for other people and see Paul Rudd's funny. But the truth is, there's lighting. There's an editor, there's a sound engineer, there's a writer, and Paul Rudd had the ability to tell that joke probably a dozen times on set and still make it seem genuine and get it right and get the laugh.
Right.
There's no fucking magic. It's a dozen people working their ass off to produce that fucking greatness.
And there was probably some director going, "Nope, do it again."
Right.
Do it again.
There's no fucking magic, man.
And then when they yell cut, he's probably like, "Fuck! Oh my God!" Yeah.
Right? Like, did I overact it? Did I underact it? Like giving it 10 different ways. And man, it's just easy to look at it and think Paul Rudd's brilliant.
Which I think he is. I think
of course he's a talent.
Far that character that he did, and then there was one other character that he was talking in the mirror. He was like,
"Oh God," talking about his
what
dick.
movie was that?
That's
he's like, man, "You're gonna fuck."
Yeah, he's like, my erection selection. Yeah, it's the one where he moves into the commune with the girl from Watchmen, or is it Jennifer Aniston? It's one of the two.
Yes, I don't remember the name of the
Jennifer
movie.
Aniston,
but those two characters, man, my all-time favorite.
Oh, man, right? And last night it was that whole thing, and like I think that's an awareness for people. Anytime people thinks there's fucking magic, it's not. The truth is it's just a bunch of people doing their fucking job that they give a fuck about.
Yeah, so like if you look at, I can speak from my personal experience. If you look at the stuff that I have in my media and things that are going on, and all the different companies that we're a part of, it's not Nick doing it. Granted, like I drive the ship, you know what I mean? Like I'm the guy at the wheel, the big, 18th century wheel, but I'm not tying knots and raising sails and fixing shit. Like, no, man, there's an entire group of people working their ass off to ensure that this thing comes to life.
Right. You're essentially deciding what port we're trying to go to.
Right.
I need all your help to get there.
Yeah.
we've got wind.
Yeah.
Let's use it.
And I think that, anybody that's super successful knows that, having a good team and investing in the right people is where you can kind of have a game-changing experience.
Oh, for sure. And man, it's taken me a long time to make a lot of, to follow suit with stuff. And like, man, it's been so rad.
That's right. You were the guy that was like, nope, I'm a thrower.
Yeah.
I'm solo.
Solo, man. I wanted to do it on my own. And the truth is I can't. I haven't been able to.
Well, you can up until a certain point.
Yes. And then there's a point where you're your own problem.
Yeah.
Because
and then you have to make that decision. Is being where I'm at okay with me?
Right.
Or do I want more?
And that's the weird one, right? And how much more and how much are you willing to trade off for the more?
Right.
And that's, and I think it's fascinating. Like I've managed to stay very, I don't know, digital nomad, if you will. Like I can kind of do
lean.
everything I do from everywhere.
Yeah, very lean. Yeah.
Whereas you've done brick and mortar and have an office and have a crew and have a team that you go see.
Which was great up until
March
2020.
I was wondering, because you do both. Like you've got the online side that clearly affords your living.
Yeah.
And then you've got a handful of brick and mortar investments.
I'll tell you what, man, it's sad because right now the online stuff is just
same boat.
And then, and we don't have to get into the politics of this, but I mean, the government, man, is just crushing brick and mortar. I mean, they're crushing, right? And is it by design? I think so, but that's a different conversation. But the brick and mortar stuff that's difficult. And unfortunately, I'm watching good people that don't have a digital footprint, that they've put their whole, they've put all of their energy into this thing for some random dickhead miles away, just to be like, nah, you're failed,
Right. I think it's crazy, right? That we're in a spot that it feels like one guy has made this decision.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, look, I'm not a fan of any of the politics currently going on in my country. I hate the fact that somehow this virus is also politicized, which I think the big plan of what they want is more separation.
Yeah, of course.
And they want us more split because,
I
mean, fuck, man, if you're going to plan to dismantle a country,
well, this is
what you do.
This is what you do. And I know you're friends with a lot of us, of us types.
Yep.
And dude, there are manuals written about this shit.
This is how you do it.
There's like, we've done this in other countries for decades.
Yeah.
Like we've done it overseas for
right. You produce propaganda. You fucking turn the people on each other.
You create segments of people, and then boom, the country falls apart.
Oh man, I was thinking the other night, like with the upcoming debates and shit like that. Like, if I had a chance to ask like a few questions, but have to get an honest answer and not smoke up my ass.
Right.
First question for Biden and Trump is, how much do you think a thing of laundry detergent cost? Like, give me an average fucking idea of what you think normal things cost on this planet.
Yeah.
Like, Trump's been a fucking billionaire for 40 years. He hasn't gone to the store. When was the last time you think he's been to the store? There's no fucking clue. We got to quit thinking these people have our interest.
From a content side, that would be a very interesting video.
Right? Like,
Trump goes grocery shopping.
Yeah, Trump Price is Right. You don't know the fuck me, man. When did we think that billionaires who are 70 have any of our interest at heart?
Yeah.
Why would you?
I don't know.
And the other question would be, do you think in the last 4 years we are more united or less?
See, that's hard, and especially on a day, I don't know when this is going to air, but my contrast, today is September
It
11th,
is.
and if you look at that situation and the unification of America, it's very different.
Well, we were given a villain.
Yeah,
There's a bad guy, and there's a bad guy we can fight. America likes that. We're fucking cowboys, man.
Yeah. And that we had a unified front, and then now there's this invisible bad guy. What do you do with that?
Well, then our people love fear mongering.
Oh yeah, and
that's the number one thing.
I think that's the real issue here is the fear. And I just got back. I just did my first trip in the COVID world.
You flew?
Yeah, on an airplane.
Okay, I haven't flown, dude. I haven't flown since like January.
Can I give you a piece of advice?
Don't. I'll just drive more. I don't fucking need to fly anywhere.
Stay home. Stay in that awesome truck of yours. Yeah, man. The mask thing, I'm not a fan of. Everybody's own their own opinion. I think it's complete bullshit. I don't think it does anything.
I agree, but also, if this is what it takes for me to operate smoothly, fucking fine. I'm not here to put up a goddamn protest every second of the day.
I'm the rebellious part of me in the military and all that. Yeah. So I'm just like, nah, fuck you. I'm not doing it. But sure, whatever. I'm on a plane. It's your policy. It's a private business.
Damn, you know
right.
What I mean? That's exactly how I feel about it.
Like that's
private business owners have the fucking decision to do that, and I support that.
Because that goes again, like back to like personal choice and freedom of how you run your institution is up to you. You're not a government organization, anyways. So it's fine. You know what the issue was for me? The mere common courtesy for your fellow human being.
Oh, really?
Everyone was awful to each other. Like,
do you think
that was the biggest thing that I noticed?
Anonymity and
it was
just a weird time that everyone's fucking kind of on edge.
Everyone is kind of on edge. So it's like you were just everywhere we went from, and we had to go from here. So we drove to Raleigh, flew from Raleigh to Vegas, and then drove from Vegas to St. George for the CFC competition. And which is a cool thing. I think you would dig it just as a spectator anyway.
Sure.
It's like CrossFit and UFC meets. Yeah.
They just fight each other and exercise?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like you get into an octagon and you go head on head, one-on-one, CrossFit style. And, then they have belts and that sort of thing.
Then
so
you
take
fight?
the games. No, it's a workout.
Okay, so there's no combat sport.
There's no like they're not punching each other.
Yeah, but there's not like jujitsu.
No, it's
they're not wrestling for the implement.
No, it's simply like a wad.
All right.
But they do it in an octagon. There's smoke and music and lights, and it's intense.
Yeah, put on a show. Well, essentially they took whatever the TV show production of the open workouts that they used to air with all the production and made it a thing you could go watch.
Right. And they have classes and things like that. So Johnny Slick sponsored that. We were a title sponsor, and it was awesome. But the whole getting there, from like renting a car to checking bags to walking through TSA to the flight attendants on a plane, I would say 90% of them were just on edge. And even if you walked past someone and you had a mask on, they were like super offended that you were too close to them.
Jesus Christ.
We're in a fucking airplane.
That's not how any of this works.
Like, there's nothing I can't go anywhere. I can't pull over any farther. Like, this is it.
No, it's very strange, right? And like I know the virus is a real thing. I know a lot of people have gotten sick. A lot of people have died.
Yeah, sure.
I traveled the country for fucking 8 weeks, man, in a truck.
Yeah.
And I did the minimal that I was ever asked. We're fine.
Yeah.
Like I stayed out of cities.
Smart.
It's very odd. And man, I really think
it's like what Rob was saying. I love that little post that he did. He's like talking about, and this is where the fear comes in, and this is what really worries me is how people are spreading this fear. And like he walks in miles into the Montana wilderness, and there's some tourists there in the woods with like the cleanest air, the best thing, and they're wearing masks.
I think most people never think or question a thing, especially from authority.
That's a great point. We stopped at some point. We as human beings, or maybe just Americans, I don't know, stop saying, but why?
Right. And then it's very fucking odd to me. And I think one of the things I really think for the US to go forward correctly, at least as far as I give a shit.
Yeah.
At some point here, we have to admit we fucked things up. But it's got to come from leadership. And we currently have a leader
like
who's
people. Yeah.
We currently have a leader who's never said sorry, has never admitted that he fucked up. And it's like, what's wrong with him saying, like, we didn't have enough information? Instead, we just find out you lie to us. Like, we recently found out there's tapes in February of him talking about how severe this is, and then tapes of him like, gotta downplay it. Like, fuck me, be honest to us, you prick.
Yeah, you know, I it's hard for me to armchair quarterback that, because I feel like that's almost an impossible position.
I agree with you, because look, we're okay with handling the honesty of that information. The Americans wandering around the woods with a mask on, probably not.
I mean, they like is
There's
that
a pandemic? A bunch of people are going to die.
Yeah, is that enough information for them to like walk off take a long walk off a short bridge because they just can't handle it?
I don't know. Be a hair more fucking resilient than that.
It was something that we just, when I did that competition, one of the coaches was like, the reason why we do this is just to be our best versions and just become as anti-fragile as we can be. And
right,
I was like, I like that, and become anti-fragile.
Well, I think like I've talked about that, like on our trip and any other stuff, and kind of like my shift of where Drift a Lifter or whatever has evolved into with it's why are there people like us that seek out resistance? Right? Because it makes you stronger. It makes you able to handle more things. You're not, I mean, look, the reason a fucking 2-year-old cries about spilled milk is because it's literally the worst thing that's ever happened to them in their entire life. Right. And so they don't have any way to process it. But through experience and life experience, you become to go, okay, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So you need things to fuck up.
I think that's where the difference between successful people and the people that become the best version of human beings that they can is their whole life until they die, they're pushing the envelope, trying to harden themselves. Like with your guys' training, your and Derek's training stuff,
right.
The Daily Destroyer. And why? Because we're trying to become better. We're human beings,
more capable, more resilient, able to do.
Me at 90 years old, granted, I'll be 90, but at 90 years old, I want to be the toughest that I've ever been in my entire life.
Right.
Now, it might just be mentally, but that's okay.
Exactly.
But it's the journey to getting there that I want to be smarter, and harder than I've ever been in my entire life.
Look, I don't think the opportunity for greatness ever expires.
Right. And it's like, I don't want, why peak at 35?
Right.
Or like, and I'm going to throw my veterans under the bus here, but like these guys that get out and the best thing that they've ever done in their entire life was be a Navy SEAL or be a Raider or be a Marine, be in the military in general. That's essentially like saying I was a quarterback in high school. And
dude, I've talked about it a lot. It's essentially this idea that, like, man, if your life is a book, mm-hmm. and each decades are chapters, like, who the fuck wants to read a book that The coolest shit happened in chapter 2, and then they spent 6 chapters talking about chapter 2. That's a shitty book.
That makes me want to walk off a short bridge.
Right? Instead, like, dude, we have the opportunity to reinvent ourselves and follow passion and not be identified by this thing we did.
And here's the thing, and I wrote a book literally about that.
Right.
You don't like, well, and I get a lot of people hit me up like, well, Nick, what's the next thing? Well, fuck if I know, man. I don't know what your next thing is. I can't tell you that. They're like, well, I think it might be that. I said, it could be. I thought it was one thing and it turned out to be something else. But you know what? I never would have like figured out the something else if I would have not started walking down the Yellow Brick Road.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing I think people are afraid of is, especially in their 30s and their 40s, they're like, I'm going to start out on this brand new journey. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Fuck yeah. Like give yourself that fucking freedom, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think between fear and people being so risk adverse, and man, coming out of the backside of like surgeries and pain and kind of all that type of stuff, and really feeling like this is a new opportunity, new lease on life that I get to do stuff. I just don't understand the risk people see in trying to do their thing.
I mean, what's the worst that's going to...
You fail and go get a job? Like, look, if you're going to make your own thing work, you work your ass off. You're willing to. And you're probably decently smart, relatively creative. Someone will fucking hire you.
Yeah.
Your chance isn't get rich as an entrepreneur or starve to death. That's not the opposite side of the pendulum. The opposite side is you go work and do those things for someone else who's better at driving the boat.
Yeah. You become an entrepreneur instead of an entrepreneur. Yeah.
You provide value to other people and there's always work. But
my fear is not like failure. I actually really, it's not really there. Cause like you said, if all of this blows up, I can find a job.
Well, I've been broke before.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
It's not really that big deal.
I can do it again. It's fine.
It actually simplifies a lot really fast, you know, but, money doesn't buy happiness. It just solves problems.
Money is a tool.
Yeah. Money's a tool to solve problems.
If you're playing it like a high score, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
It's right. A fucking tool that should provide freedom.
Yeah.
And that freedom is just options.
That's it.
Right? Like, oh, I didn't have to sweat over I had a flat tire because I have enough money to fix it or get or I have the option to have my car towed.
In the same respect, you've got people that are making $1,500 a month living in a van down by the river that are like in another plane on the universe of happiness.
Couldn't be any more pumped. They're not doing it wrong.
Right.
At least they're not living someone else's fucking life.
Right.
And I don't know why people do that, like that fall in line and find the standard route. But I guess
I think it goes back to fear of failure. They think that they have these requirements of them. I have a family. I have this. I have responsibilities. All these things. So, if I do this, I'll lose my house, my cars, my insurance, blah 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 blah. Which all of that, honestly, in my opinion, is kind of a facade anyway. And, not to go like down the Tyler Durden Fight Club.
Not wrong.
Like you're not wrong. But, that's kind of my thought process on it. I even had this weird idea which I would never, obviously, because if it happens, no big deal, but because I have 3 kids and, the whole thing, but I thought it'd be such an interesting concept to basically give it all away. And then have a phone, be homeless, like start homeless, but just with a phone. And then how fast could you go from being homeless to having a job to rebuilding your life from scratch if you just have the mental fortitude to do so? So if you have what I have mentally,
sure.
How long would it take to just rebuild your life from scratch?
So one of the big changes I had, I guess, of just empathy and realization in my life was years ago, I had a rent house ended up getting like 4 feet of water in it.
I remember that. I remember
Right.
when it happened. Yeah.
So that rent house, I had a Section 8 renter. Girls, 30 years old. I have no idea what her education level was. 3 kids.
Yep.
On government assistance across the board, right? She's made some mistakes. She's had a bunch of kids she can't afford. There isn't a second income. I don't know what her family's like. I don't know where support system is, etc.
Yeah.
And what I tried to think of is if I woke up tomorrow in her shoes with her resources, but my brain, can I get out? And I don't know.
See, I'm
like,
pretty.
what's the best bet plan with that with your 3 kids? Do you commit to raising your kids to not fall into the same circle? Or do you hustle to go get a minimum wage job and get yourself off of welfare? And to the best bets that your 17-year-old raise the other 2?
I think you take it one day at a time and you level up at every chance. And
I just think about the barrier to entry, that like what jobs are out there for that level, right? And then if that's a 40-hour-a-week job.
But you got to look at it from an immigrant standpoint. So I'm first generation American. You got to look at the immigrants that come into this country, and they go to Walmart and they get like their greeter job, right?
Right.
Making minimum wage, 40 hours a week. But I did a video called how to hack your week. There's 168 hours in a week. Yeah. And I broke it down. I even included training. I included like, how many hours a week you train, how many hours a week you sleep, your commute. And there's still, after all that, you're eating everything, there's an extra 40 hours in there. So
after everything,
you've got an extra 40 hours in there that most people, let's be real, are just fucking off.
Of course.
And that's okay. That's okay. But my point being is, if you're fucking off and then complaining that you don't have X, Y, and Z,
right? That's where your 40 hours are. There's your extra job.
Yeah, exactly. So you look at these, like Allie's, her by marriage grandfather immigrated from Israel, and he did that. He became a millionaire, worked at Walmart 40 hours a week, and then got a second job, and then made money, and then ended up getting his credit up to where he went and pulled out cash from a credit card, started trading stocks or options. I think it was trading options, would pay the credit card off, invested in a business, and became a millionaire. But the dude didn't stop.
Do you think so? What time frame this would have been? The 50s, 60s?
Probably, yeah. 60s.
Very different
70s.
Economic time in America.
Sure. Right? But the concept
but do you think that level of opportunity is still in our country? I think the division.
I think it's more.
Do you?
I think it's more, because I can take, you and I both know with our brain, if you just
that's all you need.
Google some shit, you get a cell phone, you can make yourself $1 million.
You can.
You can start if you are talented enough. I mean, I'm apparently not one of those guys, but
also saying. But there's no rule that says you can't.
There's no rule that says you can't. But
which means you can.
I mean, right.
Someone has. It makes it possible.
It makes it possible. If I have a phone, then it, and you can set up whatever, there's just so much opportunity. And I watch these immigrants come in, and I'm fortunate enough to be friends with a lot of them, and their work ethic and their perception on things is just so drastically different that it's like they just refuse to take no for an answer.
Right.
And I'm not talking about people that are coming illegally or something like that.
Yeah,
that are
but
like,
who cares?
System.
Look, it's people trying to better their lives, and they're willing to fucking work hard for it.
Right. And so while they're working 80 to 100 hours a week because they showed up here with half a sandwich and some coins in their pocket and a wife and a kid, and they're willing to go all in, they're the ones that make it.
Right.
And then you're like, well, how did you do it? Well, while you were at the beach,
Yeah.
I
I haven't stopped
stopped working in the
ever.
past 10, 20 years,
Right.
you know? And now I went from literally getting off a boat in America, not having a place to sleep, to being a wealthy person, and my family's wealthy.
Yeah.
And you can say that with anyone. I think Americans, and people might slam me for this, think Americans are generally entitled to where we have this system where we live in this country. We had this freedom and we took it for granted. We took this system for granted and we, didn't level up.
But I also believe that as a whole, and look, anytime I'm speaking of Americans, I mean 51%. Let's fucking bell curve, man.
Yeah.
I think we're fucking lazy.
Right.
I think that's proven with our level of obesity. I think these other things. And man, interesting prediction. I'm going to go ahead and slide it in.
Okay.
I think over the last 10 years, with everything from Occupy movement all the way across, that we have seen a further division of our country, right? Like this clear division started with billionaires and homeless.
Yeah.
And that has trickled down, to the opposite side of everything, being race, being, those with some money and influence. Like I think about like what we do for a living. It's crazy to me that like, because we're past the threshold, it perpetuates itself, right? Like part of my living is that I'm in shape and I get to train and I do these type of things to provide information and content for people, which becomes easier for me to do the better I get at it, because now I have companies that send me quality food that's easier now for me to eat, that I don't have to pay for, right? It perpetuates itself once you're in.
It's a snowball effect.
So the next big split that I think will happen in this country, and whether this is the full dystopian future or whatever it is, the have and have nots will be split on health.
Yeah, I can see that.
That the others will get shunned because they can't take care of themselves. And the fit and healthy will continue.
Yeah.
It's a weird one.
And, and with all this going on, I think that's one of the, it's interesting that you say that, because I think this is, what should be the biggest fucking wake up call of all is like, wait a minute, we have this virus, which whatever, it's
a virus.
It's a virus. But it literally, the people that are high risk are the overweight, the unhealthy. Like, hello.
Oh, there's no fucking stimulus check to fix this.
No.
It's hard work. It's deciding to not be a piece of shit. It's deciding to eat better food. It's deciding to do all these things. Now, do I think, and like I said, I think the difference now is, look at the difference between what really healthy people currently look like compared to not. Like that split is way bigger in our country now between, look at fucking Mike Tyson at 53.
Right.
No one at 53 was that way when we were kids, much less our parents.
Right.
He's a goddamn machine.
I would not want to, at his age, I still want no part of that.
No, thank you. I'm not sure what other wild animal I would rather fight instead, but it's the same problem.
That's exactly. Yeah.
But like, he's so far and away ahead. And like, look at Rogan or any of these other people that are in great shape going into their 50s and 60s and still doing incredible feats.
I mean, it's a choice, right?
It's a choice.
It's a choice.
It's a choice in whatever you decide to put priority on.
Yeah. But then this is where I get frustrated, is like the people that make the choice to be unhealthy, and then they try to dictate, or they try to say whatever.
Well, our country shifted a while back to deciding that the minority gets to pick the rules that we all have to live by.
Right.
Louis C.K. said a thing years ago where he's talking about, like, he's got his two daughters. And at that time, his youngest daughter's like 4 and his oldest daughter's like 10. And he's like, hanging out with my 10-year-old's awesome. I think we can talk about stuff and there's interesting questions and I can try to explain things. And if we play games, the games are fun. the 4-year-old is an idiot. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't really have a conversation with. The games can't be too complicated.
Yeah.
So now we're all stuck playing those games. The two of us who are smarter have dumbed down
and
to make the 4-year-old happy.
You just literally explained the politics in America.
Yep.
Yeah. We have arranged our rules to play on the 4-year-old level.
Because
Brilliant.
the 4-year-old yells, "It's not fair."
Yeah. Yep. That's great.
Instead of the 4-year-old having to get smarter.
Yeah.
Or develop faster, or perhaps be uncomfortable for a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. Damn.
It's very, very, very odd. What else do I got? I actually wrote some notes. So with everything else you've got going, dude, with multiple businesses, you count them off. Like, you have Raider Project,
the nonprofit.
Yep. Raider Project. You have
which hopefully within a year we're going to be bringing another main person on as a director, and I will step away from that. Yeah, not step away.
Totally operations.
Yeah.
Still involved where you need to be driving the boat, but someone else to be the business.
Yeah, and letting them, honestly, somebody younger and
passionate,
more passionate,
and focused on just that task.
Yeah, I will be able to be a better of service even at now, supporting and leveraging things for that program. Yeah.
Right. That makes tons of sense. I think it's a weird ego check, and I think about it with like I know Aubrey stepped down as CEO at ONNIT.
Yeah.
And like, it's got to be a weird thing that, like, man, like, I built this business that's doing fucking who knows, right?
Yeah.
It's a good sized company.
Right.
It's different than the size of companies we're running. I think that's a safe thing to say, right? Yeah. I don't have any supplements in Whole Foods.
No.
And so, but at some point, do you realize that if I want this to double, I'm not the guy to drive it?
Right.
And I think that's a very mature decision that you have to make at some point. But it also depends on the goal of the business.
Depends on where you want it to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, Raider Project, that's still cranking.
So you got that. Do you still have the UPS store?
So we have it's called Ship on Site. I don't know for how much longer we'll have that. Probably 2021 we'll look at offloading that.
Sell it, just
sell it. Yeah. And that was never meant to be.
Wasn't a passion play.
Yeah, it was never a passion play. That was
love packing stuff.
Yeah, that was a logistics thing. It's great for the community, but we did all of our printing there. So like, if you ever need business cards or like
right on,
banners or stuff like that, or graphic design, it worked because we have our own printing capability. But yeah, so that we'll probably offload that.
You mean you added things to your business staff to support the other businesses that also could support itself?
Strange, huh?
Crazy.
Crazy thought.
Seems like a crazy plan.
Yeah.
It'll never work.
Gym, which that's been all over the news.
That's gyms in general.
Yeah. That was a fun time. Let me tell you.
Yikes.
I never thought that my gym would be raided by the police.
Especially not for such a boring reason.
Like,
we're going to get raided. Let's do something fun, not just people working out. Like, let's have a room full of guns or some shit.
Something like, I'm cutting blow in the bathroom or something. You know what I mean? It's a
creatine's great.
Yeah. No. I'll never forget one of the guys was working out in there, and the cop had his hand on his gun. He's like, "Put the dumbbells down."
Come on, man.
I swear to you.
You're gonna fucking shoot a civilian over working out. Is that where we're at in this country?
He was doing curls. I mean, granted, the dude's got big arms, so maybe he was threatened,
It's an arms race.
Yeah. It's arms race. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that's hanging in there. And that's something I'll never get rid of, just because I need a place to train.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Don't you guys
currently
have one
trying.
now there too?
Yeah. It's a hair farther away than I'd like it. And I'm looking right now at spaces. I found something that's like a little over 2,000 square feet, $1,500 a month, just a warehouse. And if
That's
I can
all
get
you need.
that, golden. Like I'll
Yeah.
I'll build that out, and that way I have a place that's 6 minutes from my house to film content, to shoot, to do
Yeah.
that type of stuff that I don't have to think about inconveniencing the members at the gym
Yeah.
that my stuff's
Yeah.
at. They fucking pay to be there. I feel shitty going in to turn off the music and try to record sound and all that. Like it just
I do that.
bug.
I feel the same
I
way.
fucking
I'm
hate it.
like, because it's like at the end of the day, yeah, it's mine, but it's also their gym.
Yeah, they pay for it, right?
They're the ones there to
Without them, this doesn't work.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just how I feel. I always just feel like a dick doing that.
Yeah.
And like it's already weird enough what we have to do anyway, like filming some low-key TV show, right? Like fuck.
Excuse me. Do you mind if I talk to my camera by myself for
No,
a
I
second?
apologize profusely of how stupid I look. It's also working. It's like you want to say something, but I still feel like such a dick.
Yeah. Luckily for me, most of the people there are either, supporters or fans or whatever you want to call them of the channel and other things that we do. So they get it. They get it, but it still feels super awkward and weird. And it's like, guys, do you mind if I do this little bit? Let me turn my TV voice on for a second.
Oh man, no shit.
Yeah.
And then you got Johnny Slicks is blowing up.
Johnny Slicks is blowing up, man. Yeah, 7-figure company. Who would have thought? I mean,
you guys,
I knew.
I saw that hunky model you guys got for some of it.
Oh, the Mr. Creekman.
Yeah, fucking handsome, big handsome son.
Yeah, Mr. German man himself. Yeah, he. A lot of ladies like that guy.
No shit.
Yeah.
I'm aware he's attractive. Like,
yeah, man, it's going good. We've got bar soaps coming out here soon. Really cool project with we have a black label coming out on Black Friday.
hell yeah.
And what's we called the black label. Yeah. Yeah, you ready for that? Hopefully you're ready.
Yeah, I just about got everything sorted. It's interesting right now that like there's a shortage on blanks for apparel.
So we were dealing with the same things with like containers and some things that are, what's really fucked us? Containers and lids, because there's this run on hand sanitizer.
God damn it. Yeah, there is.
And I'm like, guys, like, and who's the funny redhead on YouTube? JP, Enlighten with JP. Do you ever come across?
Yeah. I've met him. I've met him a couple times through the ONNIT crew.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude, he's a funny guy.
He's
Awaken with JP or whatever.
Yeah, tell him if you ever run into him, I'm going to say, Nick thinks you're hilarious. That's just say that.
Perfect.
Hey, man.
Do that. Nick thinks you're hilarious.
Nick's, have a nice day. Yeah. But he did something with like hand sanitizer, just like squirting everywhere and just, wiping and, we watch it. But anyway, so that's been an interesting thing is trying to maintain all of our stock and everything, because people are just like going crazy with this hand sanitizer stuff. And one of the lids that we use for the soap, the body wash and shampoo, is
the hand sanitizer pump, right? Or fuck.
The little click thing, yeah. So that's been interesting to work through, but we work through it and kind of goes from there.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah,
it's a problem to solve. That's all the business thing is, right? It's like, okay, there's another headache. Pivot. Let's figure out the direction forward.
Yeah, like people keep asking us, like, we're gonna be in stores and all kinds of stuff, and at the end of the day, I'm like,
were you hoping to cut profit in half?
Yeah, like not gonna happen.
Were you hoping to do more work, have someone else dictate how many things you need to make, and lose profit?
It's interesting, right? Because as you move forward in life, as we move forward in business and the way things are going, it's really becoming direct to consumer is where it's at. And I know you know that too.
We've made this switch, right? Like we had your big box stores, your JCPenney's, your Macy's, your Walmart moved in and crushed small local businesses.
Yeah.
Home Depot, you know. And it's easy to villainize these big companies, but they were started by people too. They just did a great job.
Yeah, and they grew.
At some point, we just hate people's success at a giant level. Like,
right.
They did a
right.
fucking
More than
excellent job,
ours.
and they provided such a service that despite us kind of disliking them, we keep using it.
It's that old adage, is like, everybody wants you to be successful, just not more successful than them.
Right. And so these big fucking companies, and now we've seen a shift and we've killed your department stores because Amazon's better. Right. And now we've made a switch back to mom and pops, which are us, can survive because I can access a global audience immediately. Yeah. I don't have to just sell to my town. Like, dude, if I was trying to run a fucking apparel store in St. Louis, nope. There's not enough people here.
I mean, I can't even, like, why? What's the point?
I mean, not only that, like, I think about like how many eyes we have access to just from followings or what have you, or everything. It's a very small percentage of those people that buy anything from me.
Right.
Almost none. It's quite literally almost none of the people that follow all my shit.
Compared to the number. Right.
Right. You know, like, I mean, if we have a good drop or something like that, we'll do, 400 or 500 orders. Right. I have 76,000 people on my Instagram. I have 36,000 people on YouTube. The brand has 60,000 people, and my podcast reaches another 40,000 people a month. 500's of nothing percentage of those fucking numbers.
Right.
My conversion rate is shit, but it's a big enough number because the other number is big.
It's what's wild is that your conversion rate is almost as an industry standard. Like, that's the way it works. But people's perception of it is drastically different.
Oh yeah.
And that's why you need to go out there and get those numbers and
it's eyes, man. And we've made a shift. Well, that's another thing, right? Like, when does this turn off?
Well, that's what I was going to say is, like, you have to be, something that I've always really worked on is being, as far as my numbers, being diverse as possible, because what happens when Instagram just decides we don't want you in our club anymore?
My opinion with that is, like, eyes have always been valuable.
Yeah.
And as long as you've got eyes, it's valuable.
That's why, like, I've watched people build their entire businesses off one platform.
Yeah. You totally can.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got a couple million Instagram followers, you don't have to fucking bother with something else.
But what happens when Instagram decides that you said something or did something that goes against their community guidelines?
If you got that many followers, you're probably playing the game a little smarter.
I don't know,
man. My recommendation is don't blow up your fucking battleship.
Yeah. So T-Mac, for no reason that he knew of, he had 400 and something. Joe Rogan actually shared his stuff out to let him know.
Right.
Yeah. But dude, gone like that.
They just took it.
Just gone. Yeah. Turned it off.
Was it?
And so if you're running
political, was there any fucking reason?
I don't know.
Like, just went to log in one day and it didn't exist?
Gone. I mean, he does workout videos. Yeah, he does, like, Macho Man Randy Savage. But at the end of the day, dude, it's a manned workout video channel.
Yeah. Of course it is.
He's pulling trucks and shit.
He's not doing anything crazy different than Real World Tactical Tony does.
No, right, exactly.
It's essentially a different version of the same stuff.
Right. So all of a sudden, just 400,000 people. I mean, so people have their, like, 7-figure industries on there, and just, Mr. Zuckerberg goes, "Nah, I don't think you're successful. Boop, you're done." And that's where I think that's where, as an entrepreneur or somebody, like, you really need to be diverse as possible. Like you started a podcast.
Yep.
You have an email list, you have a YouTube channel, there's a Facebook page for Hate Brands. Like, you have to be as diverse as possible, because if for anything, for safety. And if you turn off one thing, No
Back
big
to the
deal.
level up thing. I mean, Bonnie and I's plan is to buy property and start
Yeah.
doing Airbnbs and some rentals. I know you've got one.
Yeah. We're
Um,
actually looking at another one in Florida right now.
they so how would that work being that far away? Because I'm
Um,
trying to figure out all this.
it's main. I mean, you have to you pay to play, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you pay to play. But it honestly, for that, it's more like I want a place in Florida,
Ah,
and
see now,
I'm gonna get somebody else to pay for it.
Rob and them, have done the Airbnbs and are doing
Right.
pretty well with it up and around Montana. But like one of the things he was saying, he's like, they redid this big lake house
Mhm.
on Lake Whitefish, and it's super red. He's like, I've realized that as soon as a thing becomes an Airbnb, it's no longer a place I'll ever stay because it
Right.
never makes sense to turn off the income for me to go there.
Right, and that really depends on. I mean, you
It's
might as
your
well
choice,
that's your choice, right? But
right?
I can see that because you tend to just go, well, I'll just book that, and then I'll just get a different area. I'll rent my own Airbnb. When I'm
Right.
staying there. Yeah,
Of course, I can rent one cheaper. I'm still winning.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good move. Do you fuck with stocks at all?
I do.
I do a little. I've started a little bit too.
This is a horrible time to do that. To start,
I disagree.
really.
I've crushed it.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
I've had a couple that were they're fucking dice rolls,
Yeah.
but like when everything went to shit in March.
So for stocks, yeah. So when everything went to shit, it was a great time to start snatching up.
Yeah, so
it was a land grab.
I bought quite a bit of Amazon at that time and Tesla.
I made a lot of
killed.
money off Tesla.
Dude.
Yeah.
I was still in when it split at the beginning of the month.
Nice.
So yeah, it has done well.
I've been a big fan of option trading.
I haven't got involved with all that. I don't really know anything about it.
That is more along the lines of it's faster.
Day trading type stuff.
It's day trading.
So I'm playing with everything on like the Cash App.
Yeah.
Is my entry gateway into playing with the stocks.
I started with Robinhood, but they're not direct and there's like a slight delay. So I switched to TD Ameritrade.
Okay.
And that's more along the lines of like you can have multiple accounts, you can do long term, you can do options, you can kind of have,
Interesting.
It's a bigger play there. But honestly, like I don't do it as much because I'm so busy doing life and all this other thing.
Yeah, but you still only have 24 hours, eh?
Yeah, it's like you said though, it's diversifying your not just diversifying your audience, but diversifying your revenue streams.
Man, that was the big awakening for me when I got fired.
I remember that. Which I still think to this day, when you told me it sucked, but I immediately knew that was probably gonna be the best thing.
Of course. And look, I'd already built a business that was paying me well.
Yeah.
By the time I got fired. But man, that feeling of anxiety leading up to getting fired, of just waiting to get fired, I'm never going to fucking give someone the keys to my life that way again, dude.
And
you don't get to fucking make me panic and feel that way.
Let me ask you a question. Would you have ever quit?
At some point, I would have had to. Like at some point, I think there would have been a crossroads that I had to choose Hate Brand continuing to do its thing or continue with that job. And the job paid well. The job paid well. I had freedom. Yeah. There's a reason they fucking fired me. It wasn't because I was doing great. I mean, I think my focus was a little elsewhere. And whether I've got my own reasons for believing at some point they were going to let me go anyway, just because the business wasn't growing the direction that they had sent me off in.
Right.
And maybe, like I take some responsibility that if I would have brought in more business in that area, they probably would have built an office. They would have done this and that. But I didn't feel I had the tools to do it. But I think eventually I would have quit, but I don't know. what would have happened is I would have just eventually tried to see how long it takes for him to fire me.
How long can you ride that?
3 months. That's a fact.
Yeah.
I can do nothing for 3 months. That was a guess I had for years doing that outside sales job of like, how long could I do nothing before someone's like, hey man,
You're doing nothing.
you're not doing anything. You were in Scotland for 3 weeks.
but look at what happened when you did, because I mean, from an outsider, and I'll consider myself an outsider, what Hate Brands looked like almost immediately after that.
Man, it was an all-in moment, right? That like, fuck it, if we're gonna do this thing, this is no longer a hobby.
It's a thing.
Because up until that point, like, look, I started the whole thing and like started writing and doing all that as I was really stoked I was making a little bit of extra money from the Highland games.
Yeah.
And my concern was eventually I'm going to have to stop throwing. I should figure out how to replace that income. Be cool if that continued after I was done throwing.
Right.
I was like, I need to make like an extra $600 or $700 a month. And it fucking worked. It's gone way better than I expected.
And that goes back to that, like walking down the yellow brick road. If you would, you never know what's going to happen unless you take that first step.
Yeah. And now that I've seen the man behind the curtain, dude, I can't go back.
Yeah.
You just can't.
But it's so incredibly important to diversify as much as possible.
Yeah.
And your
multiple revenue streams,
your audience, like everything. Cause like right now, if one business shuts down, sure, it sucks. But at the end of the day, my life, there's not one thing in my life, revenue stream or audience wise, that it just got turned off today that would turn my life upside down.
Man, as shitty as a lot of last year was with divorce and those type of things, one of those things that was really great that I learned from it was all of my income from Hate was taking care of responsibilities that I had from that relationship. So I wasn't getting a paycheck for a year. I can live without that paycheck. I can still put a little bit of money away. I can afford my style of living without that income, which that's a cool feeling. That gives a lot of freedom because I don't live like a dick. I live in fucking St. Louis in a moderate sized house. I drive a 2014 Tundra. Like I'm not, buying Ferraris or trying to fucking flex like that.
That's what's so funny. People ask, they're like, man, Nick, if you were a billionaire, what car would you drive? I'd be like, I don't know. I might put some lights on my truck, maybe. Like, I don't know. I can do that now if I wanted, but I just don't.
Yeah. It'll, I fucking love my truck. Yeah. And it's in the shop right now, getting shit done to it, and probably will continue.
I think that's a whole other thing, right? I think that goes back to like, you're not doing it for the money. I'm doing this, all this stuff and all this work that I put into, I'm doing it for the journey.
There's a difference when, if you look at the journey and enjoy that, or if your goal is money. Money's a side effect for me. Yeah. I'm into it. Yeah, I have some. Sure, I'd like more. And that's where you people come in.
I've said that the wrong way. I don't want to make more. I want this thing that I created to make more.
Yes. I want it to continue to scale.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want to overcomplicate things to get to the next level of income. Right. Unless they're really worth it.
Honestly, I've taken a lot of from your playbook of being lean and doing the things that you've done, and some of the things that I had a hard time to like give up, but I was like, you know what, this is good. Like for instance, the Raider product stuff, we outsourced that to Kansas.
Yeah, my dude's over there.
Yeah, and honestly, that was a huge relief because it freed us up to focus on programs and some other things.
It's exactly right. Like, so recently, as in the beginning of the year, hired a videographer, Brant.
Changes everything.
He's killing it.
Yeah.
He's so much goddamn better than I've ever been at it. It's embarrassing. It's just like I don't want to show him anything I've ever edited.
Don't look at that. Start over.
This is real good. I'm the talent. And like having him and realizing what a boost that is.
Yeah.
But I've also quickly realized, watching the way he works, that he'll kill himself. Like he's got it. Like for 8 weeks in the truck, dude, he sat in the back seat with noise canceling headphones on and edited anytime we were in the truck, or anytime we stopped, he had a computer out working. And that's how that job works. If you're going to keep up with a daily shooting schedule like that, like, ugh. And so between the podcast and like other video stuff and photo shoots and other stuff that we have to do every week, plus the video content, I hired him an assistant. Like my second hire is to hire someone to help him so that I can keep him doing the stuff that Brant's talent is needed for, not editing my fucking podcast.
Right.
This isn't hard.
It's interesting because we're in the same, we're importing somebody from New York for that. Which is a huge deal. Like,
well, it's a fucking time suck. Editing the podcast or doing any of that, like there's no way to do it fast.
No.
And it's less work and technique than, say, a 10-second well-edited cut.
Right.
But you can't do it. If it's a 2-hour podcast, it takes fucking 2 hours to edit.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, let me get that off your fucking plate. We can pay someone to do that. It's not a talent.
But then think about when you're not doing that and you're focused on booking people and just having these conversations, how many more could you have when you're not doing it? I mean, that's how you scale.
That's exactly right. I gotta buy more hours.
Yeah.
You know, and if I've got to edit the podcast and stuff like that starts killing creativity.
Right.
Like I knew for me with the apparel company from jump, and I also was lucky that I had the real job, that I never thought I'd have time to take care of doing boxes and shipping. And so I never pretended I could.
You started out very good like that way.
From the jump. Look, if you're going to make any money in apparel, it's a quantity game anyway.
Right.
So I may as well plan to get there and never think about like how much money the difference between me boxing shit up is versus someone else doing it.
Yeah.
Because I don't have time. So don't pretend.
You want to be on the go.
Yeah.
Because that's what,
man, if I'm doing the boxes, content. Right. And then I'm trapped. It's a fucking anchor. I've got to put shit in boxes.
Right.
Or manage people who do it.
And then when they don't, from experience, when they don't show up to work, guess who's doing it?
Right. Whereas.
So I'm not filming that video. I'm packing orders now.
Right. And now I'm frustrated.
Right.
Which kills creativity, which, you know, nothing's worse than trying to force creativity.
It's awful. Awful. It is. Oh my, I can't even begin. If you ever have to be in front of the camera, anybody's listening, if you ever have to be in front of the camera and you're just not feeling it,
just don't do it that day.
Just don't even do it. Yeah.
It's brutal.
And there's times, man, that I've been like, you know what? I'm not feeling it right now. And I can't do this. We're going to go do something else.
Yeah. Well, we got to go do something. This isn't working.
Yeah.
This is shit.
I'm shit.
Right. Yeah.
I'm being shit right now.
There's no way to polish this turd that I'm putting out.
Yeah.
Still just a turd.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's man. Yeah. The creative side, it's a fucking interesting world, man. Like having to do this for a living. I love it. The thing that I've gotten better at now is, for a long time, I was like, well, here's a design. How fast can I get that printed? How fast can I get it to sell? Yeah. And now I've been smarter because I want the freedom to be able to travel. So like I figured out during that last 8 weeks that we were on the road, I can do 100% of it from the road. I can have stuff shipped to me. I can have it shot. I can get it on the site. We can sell it all while traveling. And as of right now, like I'm basically planned out on drops till, I don't know, January. Like most of the items I have on the shelf, so I can release as I want to.
That's
And
awesome.
that's a way better feeling than like, fuck, I don't have anything.
Right.
Because I've
Come
been
up
there
with
too of like, I don't have any good ideas at all.
I gotta draw something.
Yeah.
Now, like right now,
Or
draw
a
something.
concept, or come up
Yeah.
with something and then be like,
Yeah.
fuck, we don't have anything to sell. And then I know it's at least a month before this is ready. This is bad.
Man, that would be, again, that goes back to like, now I have to go take a walk in the woods because I'm not, there's nothing that's coming to me.
No, dude, it's
Yeah.
the whole business thing is like, just figure out how to keep throwing steady jabs until you see the uppercut coming.
Yep.
And then when you see it, send it.
So that's interesting you say that, because like you said, like when we, when I first started on, you would laugh at me because you were like, how many fucking businesses do you have?
Right.
I was like, I don't know, as many as it takes to
As
figure
many.
out what I need to do. You know what I mean? And now, other than the gym, like we're narrowing down on 2.
Yep.
But it's been since end of 2013, beginning of 2014. And now it's taking that long. It's coming down to 2. It'll be a Gogi training and Johnny Slicks will be the 2 main focus of everything.
Dude, it's crazy. I mean, who would have thought that the Johnny Slicks would have become the front runner?
I knew that from the get-go, but of course not everybody. Oh yeah, that was the reason why. I mean, I saw the product, and that's part of the story, but I saw the product and I said, this is $1 million company waiting to happen. Period.
Yep.
Like, this is $1 million company. It just needs to be finessed. Like I knew from the get-go, which is, it's cool to like make this sit here and go, or to sit back then at the beginning of 2018 and go, this is $1 million company. And then in 2020 go, it's $1 million company.
Right.
Like,
Right.
that's pretty rad.
It's super rad.
But
it's
I knew
also a cool confidence that comes from doing it, that now you feel like you got a little bit of the recipe.
Right. And
copy and repeat.
And so with the other one, so with the next one, now we've got the same thing. It's like, okay, now we're on track. Like, this is heading in the right direction. The Gogi is going to be the next thing, and we're going to, go from there. And then that will be the focus until we sell one or both, or hell,
who knows?
We might be on Montana doing Airbnbs too. Who knows?
Not wrong.
Who knows?
I mean, the other thing I've come to grasp with is like, there was a long time that I thought, look, if someone offered what Hate Brand was worth, would I sell it? And my answer, no, I don't think it works without me. And if I could not sell it completely right now.
And see, I think that's the biggest lesson. And it's funny because Johnny was the same way too. When we first started, I was like, we're going to sell this one day. And he was like, made that kind of face. Nope. But as it grows and as it becomes a thing, you become, actually, to be healthy, both mentally and spiritually and physically with your business, you have to not be emotionally attached to it.
To an extent. You need to be emotionally attached enough to give a shit.
Yes. I'm not saying not give a shit. What I'm saying is, it's not you.
No.
It's not your identity.
No.
And that goes back to, like, say, being a Navy SEAL or a Raider or, a Green Beret or something like that as well. It's like, you can't allow that to be part of your identity, because when that's gone, then who are you? Who's Matt? If Matt's
tough,
when
right?
we had that conversation, right?
Yeah.
If Matt's not a thrower, if Matt's not a Highland Games competitor, then who is Matt?
Yeah, it's a fucking tough one, man.
And that's where I think people, like, they struggle because they don't figure that out. And then when you do sell that business, or you do stop being a professional athlete, you're like, well, fuck, I'm nobody.
Everything's built into this identity instead of who you are.
Right.
Right. And instead of this just being a thing you did.
Right.
And that's how I feel about the Highland Games. Look, it was a thing I loved and I was very good at. But I'm very excited that, like, I've got athletes I sponsor that really have no clue that I was good at a thing.
Perfect.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Oh, did you used to power lift? No. And
I just like muscles.
right. And I'm also glad that I don't look like that guy anymore.
Yeah.
That was another big one. Like, fuck him, he's gone.
Yeah.
Let's go. What's next?
But I think people not only along the lines of occupation, I think that especially entrepreneurs, at least early on, do the same thing with their business. And I did the same thing with STS. It was like part of who I was. And
Well,
then
you feel like it has to be, because I
you
think
feel
at
like
some point it does for a while.
yeah, initially.
Yeah.
But you have to allow yourself to be, I mean, I think this is kind of, and you've kind of went on that personal journey here, recently in the past year or so. You have to figure out who you are alone.
Yeah.
By yourself, not with a business, not with a thing, not with a fucking t-shirt, not with a book, not with anything, but like you in the woods.
Yo.
Who is Nick? Who is Matt?
Yeah. Where are you actually happy?
Yeah.
Right. And that's the other one, man. I think happiness is a big part of it. Like, are you fucking happy with your time here?
Because it's a blip.
Dude, it's gone.
Yeah. It's a blip.
70 fucking years is nothing.
And in the grand scheme of the universe and whatnot,
as far as we're concerned, humans have only been around 3 million years. Dinosaurs were here for 250
well, it depends on who you
years.
talk to. I think some people say 6,000 years.
6,000 years.
We don't have
it's
to
factual.
get into that.
There's a very important book that lays out science facts. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it. It's called the Bible. I think taking medical and historical advice from that book is as good as taking medical advice from a reality TV show host. I prefer doctors and scientists.
I like to get all my facts from Kim Kardashian personally.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sets me straight.
Well, she's on point. She's a billionaire.
Yeah.
I'm just glad her and Kanye both got like the payroll loans.
I think that's awesome. I think it's great. I mean, too bad the couple businesses down the road didn't get them because they'd still be open. But whatever. I mean, I'm glad they got them.
Right. It's a weird thing that both these billionaires are able to play the game better to get this employee relief. Which at the same time, look, there's part of me that wants to get shitty about that. Like, that's not what this was for. But at the same time, like, how much money do those two pay in taxes a year? They fucking deserve that money.
Well, that's if they do pay taxes.
I bet they do.
I would hope so.
Let's go ahead and say they do.
Okay. Well, then
at some point, like, well, they've moved to Wyoming, so that helps. That's a zero income tax. Fucking A.
That wasn't planned.
No.
No.
To buy some fucking 2,000 acres in Wyoming? Yeah, of course. It's a great plan.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, dude, the amount that those two must pay in taxes, like, and then recent California law change, like, my friends out there are bailing.
Oh, everybody's bailing.
Dude.
And now I think I don't know the specifics on this, but there's something going on where if you bail out of California, somehow
the taxes follow you.
They follow you.
Yeah. So here's the explanation of it. Like, and I'm gonna fucking brutalize this.
Sure.
But it's
kill us in the comments. Kill us in the comments.
So not only do you have your normal income tax for being in California, which is fucked. Like, my friends that are paying 40+% of their income.
Okay.
Overall, they're doing another one that's wealth based, but it's based on net worth. So it's like a personal audit that's done every year over vehicles, house, everything you own to figure out net worth, and you pay 4% annually of your net worth in taxes on top of the rest.
If you leave.
No. Oh, it follows you for a year.
It follows you for a year.
If you fuck off and bail before this, after this goes, and you're like, wait, no, I'm out of here. Like, nah.
So like somebody like Joe Rogan.
He got out early enough.
Yeah. Fuck. And then who's the other guy? What's the Tesla's guy?
Oh, Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
I think at his money, he doesn't care.
I don't know, dude.
He married the same woman twice without a prenup either time. He didn't give a fuck. He's awesome. This is the robot we need to elect to be president. There's nothing I would love more than to see like him get up there at the beginning of coronavirus and just very blatantly look at us and go, we don't for sure know yet. I'd recommend everyone stay inside for a bit. I'm going to go work on this.
Some of you are going to die.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
And by me work on this, I mean me, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Me and these other scientists are going to go figure this out, and we'll come back with a solution.
Oh, man.
Or a plan. Just give me 2 weeks.
That would be interesting. God,
instead of just like, there's no problem. There's nothing here.
Just ignore everything.
Yikes.
Meanwhile, the world's burning.
Yeah, the other question for the debate. Like, listen to this show on Rogan had these two guys from the Innocence Project on, which is a really good episode about wrongful convictions and people on death row and kind of how the privatized prison system and our judicial system is essentially a tax on the poor that keeps them poor and keeps them in jail.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
I wasn't ever aware that, like, if I was arrested for a thing I didn't do, right? It happens.
Yeah.
I have to pay bail to get out
mm-hmm.
before my arraignment, despite that I haven't done anything wrong. That
Doesn't
bail
matter.
money's gone.
Yep.
Like, that's not a thing that I get back because I proved I was innocent.
No, that's now you just paid for somebody's
It's
career.
a freedom tax.
Yeah.
Well, you can go back outside. We're just going to need some money.
Yeah.
And so the next question I would have for people in the leadership role, as we're going forward as Americans, how many innocent civilians in our country do we want to allow the cops to kill? What number is acceptable? And then we can start there. Because for me, it's 0.
Yeah.
Because I felt for a really long time that there's a 0% chance that at some point during my night that the police could knock on my door and I may end up shot.
Yeah.
While I was asleep. That was a thing I would think is a 0% chance, but now I'm aware is not 0.
I think, unfortunately, it is more likely a 0% chance.
But it happens.
Sure.
Not impossible. It's
not
not
impossible.
a 0%.
You know, but if we're profiling.
Of course. Well, how about this guy in Arizona that got killed playing fucking video games in his house? Opened his door at 10:30 p.m. by bang, 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 police department. The guy above him called for a noise complaint. Cops show up, 10:30 p.m. This dude answers the door with his pistol, as either of us would.
I mean, I do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Right? Either of us would. The cops have moved out of the line of sight of the peephole for the guy's door, which is their training.
Right.
And so violent knocks on the door, announcing it's the police department. He goes and looks. No one's fucking there. Opens the door, pistol in his hand, immediately sees the cops, is going to put the gun on the ground, takes 4 rounds in the back, dead. Was playing video games. His wife was cooking dinner.
That's fucked.
That happening ever, or Breonna Taylor, or any of this other shit, right? Like, that makes it greater than a 0% chance that that could happen, because it does happen.
So I think there's a couple things there. One, because of the current climate, current law enforcement agents are super heightened and super scared.
Of course.
Like,
of course.
What a fucking shitty job to be in right now.
Dude, brutal.
And
they're underpaid. They're undertrained. Overworked.
So that's the first thing is that overworked. The second thing is this defund police movement is the wrong, like,
it's the opposite. It's the fucking opposite answer.
The problem is they don't get enough training, and they don't get enough money. They're underpaid. So anytime you underpay someone, you get that denominator of individual. you know?
It's interesting that as a country, we haven't decided that we want quality applicants to apply for cops or teacher roles.
I was just going to say, it's the same exact thing with teachers.
Yep.
Why would we give the bottom of the barrel pay to the people that are teaching and influencing the next generation of Americans? Like,
I mean, if we want better candidates, if we want the best quality teachers to educate our society, like, we have to start investing in that.
right. And I'm glad you used the word investing, because it literally is. It's a return of investment.
Right. It's decades. This isn't an overnight.
Nope. So I think that's what the problem. Like, I think that the problem has been there for a very, very long time, and now it's just coming to light. This is not something new, but when you look at people, like when you look at law enforcement agents that are prior military, that have millions of dollars worth of training, but they didn't get from a law enforcement agency. They got them from, you know what I mean, from prior, like
right.
something like I did.
Yeah.
They understand how to communicate with people. They understand de-escalation of force. They understand, like, I'm going to use my brain here and not get freaked out.
Right.
It comes down to, you see these videos, these cops just getting manhandled by these perps because they don't train. Because either they're not in shape, they don't know how to do combatives, and then what happens? The cop gets freaking scared because he can't control someone, and then pops some dude.
Yep.
Or chick. And which could have been completely unavoidable.
Right.
So
and I also understand the point of, like, look, if it's me or you going home tonight, it ain't you.
You know, sorry, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And I get that level of fear, and that's fucking real.
Yeah.
Man, I don't envy that job, and I don't have a lot of answers for it.
I have a lot of those, my book is probably the second biggest seller of my book is to law enforcement. There's a lot of parallels between, career in law enforcement and military. There's some differences, but there's a lot of parallels too. And a lot of it has to do with identity and kind of the struggle between, you work for a government entity. Yeah. Anytime you work for a government entity, there are some things that you're going to experience and go through. You know what I mean?
I think one of the big shifts, so there's a couple big shifts that I think have happened. I think one, at least with coronavirus and on a global scale, as far as a view of America, whatever prowess that we've been able to hold on to as America's the fucking best since World War II is gone. Yeah. We've shit the bed on that, and we got some rebuilding to do. Yeah. And we can't rebuild and fix that unless we start admitting things are wrong.
Yeah.
And look, it's leadership follows, right? Like, if our leader doesn't say, I'm sorry, and won't apologize, and stands on the ground of craziness to be right instead of the bigger picture right. This is why we have the issues with Karens.
Yeah.
This entitlement to, I'm right, you conform.
Yeah.
You conform to me and my sensibilities. It's back to the 4-year-old.
Right.
Right. That at some point, life's a lot fucking easier if you just decide to take responsibility for everything.
Always.
Look, I tell people this.
But that's a leader, right?
Dude, here's how I look at it, and this is how I operate and makes my life very easy, is if I was to borrow your car and get into an accident, this is a thing I'm responsible for. I'm going to fix it because I was at the wheel, right? Yeah. You lent it to me. If I was to lend you my car and something happened, I'm going to fix it because I took responsibility for handing the fucking keys over.
Yeah.
I'm not a victim on either one of those things. Shit happens. Let's go forward.
That's a great. I made this decision. I like seeing that from both sides. At the end of the day, you're still not a victim because.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm at the wheel.
Yeah. It's something that in the military, when I was a recon team leader, there was a saying that was basically saying it is your responsibility for failure or success.
Yeah.
Like either way, doesn't matter what somebody else, the lowest guy in the team, your 5-6 man team could do something. At the end of the day, it's the team leader's fault.
Right. It'd be like, well, I had a really good football game, but we lost. Fucking cares.
Yeah, you lost.
You lost,
So
dick.
anything that you fail or succeed at is the team leader.
Yep.
And I think that the more people, if the more people that have that kind of mindset of, like you said, like, I'm not a victim, like even in business, like if a shirt doesn't get delivered,
I
like,
take responsibility. I apologize personally.
same,
I didn't
right?
fucking pack that box.
You're not even in the same area.
No, but that's not the customer's business.
No, right.
I'm not
It's like,
passing the fucking buck, dude.
so that's the same thing. Hey, we fucked that up. I fucked that up. I'm sorry. We'll get it handled.
Yo, so I still use the same overseas manufacturer for training shorts that I've used since you introduced me.
Yeah.
One of the things I really like is I recently had, I don't know, a failure on more shorts than I care for, of like a pocket coming unstitched, right? I sent that email. One of the ways they handle things, and I really fucking like it because it's not us, is she said, I'm sorry, if you let me know how many were a mistake, I will make sure that this doesn't happen again with my staff. This is a stitching area. This was our fault. Tell me how many were a failure and I'll refund you. She didn't pass the buck. Never once was there an excuse made.
Just owned it and moved forward.
Sorry. How can we go forward?
Yeah.
We'll do better. And like, the fuck do I have to be mad about? This is the greatest solution for my complaint.
There's nothing more to say except, hey, this is what happened. This is the number. Let's move
forward.
But
I'm so fucking trigger shy to the way that normal people act that when I sent that email, I was waiting for conflict.
Yeah. You're like, I don't even want to bring this up because
it's going to be someone else's fault.
Yeah.
Some mystery person overseas that I'll never meet.
And now we got to go back and forth and blah, blah, blah.
Instead, she said, we fucked up.
Done.
Dude.
At that point,
much better than like,
you're like, thank you.
And like, I know people harp on doing business wherever, but I consider my business a global fucking company. I sell shit around the world. I don't mind where my stuff gets made. I'm going to make the best quality stuff I can for the most affordable prices so that my customers get cool shit.
Same.
That's it.
Yeah.
If I could do the same here, I would. But we don't anymore. America's decided a while back that we don't want to fucking work and make things.
That's exactly correct.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a big portion that do, but there's also
back to that entitlement thing. It's like, well, I don't want to work in a factory making X amount of dollars an hour. And okay, well, you just lost a lot of jobs for a lot of people.
Part of that, it's really interesting, right? Because that's the life the boomers lived.
Yeah.
Was this blue collar life, and through the greatest economic time in our country's fucking history as well. Make no mistake. Yeah. There's no point that my house that I bought is going to be worth 10 times what I paid for it in 30 years, like my parents did.
Yeah. Right.
You know? Okay. And so, I mean, plus, the differences in what interest rates and shit like that were for checking accounts and savings accounts that are fucking 10% or what have you back then. And the boomers also kind of pushed us to be more of dreamers. And here's where we are. We don't have a labor force anymore. We don't have people that want to fucking do vocational training. Like if your goal was to make money, become an electrician.
That's kind of a catch-22 because, I've even seen it with my own kids. It's like, I grew up with nothing, very poor, moving around a bunch. So everything that I had to work for. Same with that generation, right? Like if they wanted something, they had to put the time in, they had to earn it and work for it. And then they wanted the generation that came after them to be better than they had it.
It's an old quote. It's like, we'll be soldiers so our kids can be farmers, and we'll be farmers so our kids can be teachers, and we'll be teachers so our kids can be artists.
Yeah.
Well, we're here.
At some point,
this is what you got. We're here.
This is what you get.
You created a bunch of fucking weirdo artists who were trying to figure things out.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, how do you balance, that experience of, like my kids have never wanted for anything.
Right.
So they have a different perspective on life. I do my best to try to give them that experience and through work and through lessons. But at the end of the day, they've never had to wear clothes out of a garbage can. You know what I mean? They've never had to eat
They have
shit
never
food.
been hungry.
Right.
In fact, things are so good they have to choose to be hungry.
Right. Right.
Like,
you know, same for me now. You know, it's like,
that's exactly right. That things
you know,
I have such a fucking abundance of food
I could be
that
400
unless I
pounds if
choose
wanted
to not eat
Yeah.
to be in shape.
So that's and it's the same thing when it goes as far as generation. It's almost like it's not even their fault, because it's their experience, and it's the generations that came before us to say, I want a life better for my kids than I had. And through every generation we've done that. And like you said, now we're left with a bunch of artists with cell phones.
America also hasn't gone through like a revamp. Like, we've only been around for 250 years.
It's funny you say that. I think the reason why you see all the current generation, and I'm going to say younger generation, even younger than us, fighting all this stuff and complaining about all this stuff, is because they have never had something to fight for. So they've created it. You know, you look at the 60s with segregation, right? Mm-hmm. You look at World War II. You look at the Great Depression. Every generation had a villain or something that they had to experience or had to fight for their rights to go through. Now, hate to break it to everyone, but our generation, the generations before us, did it for us.
Yeah.
We have freedom. We have rights. Everybody can vote. Everybody can go earn a job. There's like, life's pretty good.
There's a book I read while we were on the road, and it's like the coddling of the American mind. I think that's what it is. And it's talking about that, man, that like where the shift has come in universities and everything like that, to where for a long time, the idea of at least higher education, instead of it just being a business, was that you'd go to college and ideas and thoughts would be challenged by different viewpoints and people could discuss things. It would be this
one way of
Voltairist salon type situation of getting information. But that's changed now to where it's become an echo chamber, and anything outside of this way of thinking is considered dangerous.
It's not a debate.
So that's where, like, I guess actually figuring out like what the whole safe space thing was. And I didn't quite get a grasp of what all that was and nuance, but essentially the idea of that was kids are stressed and kids are self-harming with drugs, alcohol, or suicide. So we need to eliminate stress. So what we should do is don't ever put them in a situation that they feel emotionally threatened. Then that's what we've created is this idea that like, we don't want you to ever feel bad. Don't be challenged. Don't change your thoughts. And if you don't
be uncomfortable.
Right. Look, why would you comment something shitty to a YouTube video hoping that channel changes when you can just find another channel? I don't get it, right? That's, man, to me, it's fuck. It's back to the take responsibility, right? That like, not everyone has to conform to you. Like you don't get to win. Like everyone's like, you don't have the right to not ever be offended.
It goes back to the whole participation awards.
You have a right to decide how offended you are. What we should teach people is how to be in fucking control of their emotions and in control of their lives, and be challenged enough to realize this will pass.
And that's funny you say that. I like that, because that's exactly what's happening. Is if you challenge them on their ideas, they fall apart and they're super offended and they get angry and it goes crazy. It just goes nuts.
Right. And it becomes, I can out loud you.
Yeah. I can be louder than you. Yeah. Like no one's going to agree on everything. You know, me and my wife don't agree on everything.
Of course not. We're not supposed to.
Right. But we can, as adults, we can have that conversation and be like, well, this is my point of view and this is my perception and this is my point of view and this is my perception.
Yeah, I don't need to convert you for this to be a win.
No,
I just need you to not be bothered by my point of view.
that's it.
I don't need you to change yours.
And that right there is why this country is supposed to be great. It's like, that's
supposed to be.
That's why it's supposed to be great. Because there are people that went out there and literally, I'm not even going to talk about my generation, but because it was a different thing, but there's people out there that literally died hundreds of years ago so that you can have that choice.
Right. A part of one of the issues I have with everything currently going on too, and while I do agree with fucking tearing down these Confederate monuments, especially with the history behind them, I do Confederate, fuck all that. Like, I grew up in the South, fuck all that stuff.
You know it more than anyone.
Right. And I know why it was put there.
Yeah.
It was still put there for control. Like, all those fucking statues went up in the 60s and they were made really shitty, and they all got put up after Jim Crow as a way of saying, fuck you. Right? That we're going to celebrate these people as heroes. Meanwhile, I still hate the idea that there's a forced compliance to things. Look,
right.
and we had it with us as far as Black Lives Movement or any of that. Like, while I agree with everything, that the general gist of what we're trying to say here, I don't like the fact that I have to comment on something that I'm not an expert on because I have an audience.
Right.
It's okay to say you don't fucking know all the answers.
Or why would you pigeonhole yourself into one thing?
Or maybe take a minute and maybe think my concept of race relations in this country aren't where we should get our information, that perhaps there's a better expert out there than a guy who threw rocks in a field.
Well, it goes deeper than that. Is the topic and the solution is just not that black and white. It's not black and white.
No, it isn't.
I mean, and I mean that, no pun intended, but it's not.
No,
I mean,
nothing is, but our country wants that because it's easy that way. We don't want any gray area. The same way that you can immediately assume, because I'm wearing a mask or I'm not wearing a mask, something as simple as that. Right. You think you can predict how I feel about abortion. Those two things don't have fuck all to do with each other. But
again, that goes back.
But it's back to the political.
Segregating people into groups and making things a certain way.
If you're wearing a mask, it's right wing. Or left, if it's fucking not, you're right. And
it could just be like, I like fucking 21% oxygen and 79% nitrogen.
Dude, it's again, going forward, at some point, the left and the right have to realize they're different wings on the same bird.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to fly great with both those wings trying to do their own thing.
I think that right there wraps up 2020.
Yep.
That's what happens to an airplane when they don't realize it's the same fucking airplane.
Man, I just want people to get their head out of their ass.
That's like that thing. Can we just go back to where I think you posted it a long time ago? It's like, I just want to grab my shotgun and go to my gay friend's wedding and smoke a joint with everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, can we just go back to that, please?
Dude, yeah. Like, man, something I thought, like, it's weird watching TV right now because a lot of stuff hasn't been filmed since this all started.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's like, oh, they don't know yet.
They don't know yet. This is
pre-2020. Like, oh,
this is
man.
pre-2020 because there's nothing hidden in here.
Right. No one's walking around with masks on and fucking terrified of each other, and like just conversations they can have or it's like, you don't know. You're not in the world we're in right now.
So what's going to happen in November? Is it all just going to go? Is everything just going to poof and disappear?
I know nothing's fucking going away before then. I don't know how quickly it goes away after.
Yeah.
But, I mean, either way, we've been given a shit sandwich of our two choices again.
I have a feeling that it's just gonna vanish. And then when it does, there'll be some other thing that's like makes everybody angry.
What I really, really, really like is the marketing approach that Trump has taken to just blaming all this on Joe Biden.
That guy
He said, "This is what Joe Biden's America is going to look like." I'm like, "You're driving." Like,
I don't know, man. I think a lot of it has.
He
to do
hasn't
with
worked yet. Like
I mean, I'm not a fan of that guy by any means.
I'm not a fan of fucking either.
I don't think
These two 70-year-olds are the fucking best thing we have to offer our country.
But I mean, that looks that. I mean, that's
here.
been the way it has been for I don't know, 30 fucking years.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And you can thank again. You can go back to like all the billionaires and thank them for that because it's them driving the train now. Not
at some point though, we also still have to take responsibility.
Yes.
So even as far as one of the things I love is the idea of defund the media, because fuck them. But there's a way to fucking do that, right? It's called quit watching.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Which it kind of like slowly has. I mean, if you look at big stream, you look at cable as a whole, like
but the news shows are killing.
It's yes, but
because it's fear based.
Yeah, cable as a whole is killing. They have to feel it though.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
They're doing it now. This right here is their revenue streams are probably through the fucking roof right now.
Yeah, and their generation is dying.
Yeah,
they're not going to be around in 30 years.
So what are they doing to make sure that
they're just holding on like hell?
No, I think that they're like you said, they're part of the problem. They're like, okay, we are dying, so what can we do to get people to pay attention?
We give them exactly what they keep asking for.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. No different than the way we try to create content or any of that. It's
what are the viewers
the media right now with what they air as far as information, right or left, is absolutely doing a 10,000 calorie challenge day. It's like, does people want to watch? Fuck it. We're going to do coronavirus shit. And we're going to speculate.
Cops beating somebody or cops killing someone easily. Done.
This is the news that we keep telling we want. Because they're selling advertising dollars. That's all their show is. They're not really trying to give us information. It's a fucking TV show.
Right.
And they give us the information we keep asking for. Like,
I don't watch it.
Same. Look, it's the same way that I feel if the NFL is not on TV and popular because we love sports. It's because people watch it.
Yeah.
If NBC or whoever, ESPN, found out that they would get more eyes on a blue screen with a baby crying, it would be on the air tomorrow selling ads. Right. And then 5 fucking channels would follow suit immediately.
Right.
And that's it. They're going to follow whatever we keep telling them we fucking want.
Yep.
That's how this works. If you want the media to stop being shitty, stop watching.
Just turn the damn TV off.
Stop buying things. Cast your vote with your fucking wallet.
Yep. That's right.
Dude, this has been great. I know you got life things.
I'm curious. What the hell would you get? What is the title for this podcast?
I'll just say Nick Koumalatsos. I don't title him creatively. Fix the world. We fixed it.
We fixed it. Sat down, had some coffee, fixed it, done.
Good thing we got that sorted.
Yeah, right.
And the problem is the people more like us, where our shift is like, fuck it, I'll just leave me alone.
Yeah.
We'll all disappear. Like, man, I like Tim Kennedy a lot, and I'm very interested to hear his recent Rogan post. Like, I think it airs today.
Oh wow.
Because he made a post that with a meme of Rambo. Did you see that one?
I posted it.
Yeah, it's fucking rad.
Yeah.
That wait till the people who want to be left alone get involved.
Because now we're pissed.
Right.
And we have the training, and we have the background, we have the understanding of all of this. So like, and that's the truth, is like, I grew my hair out long. I was just lifting weights,
dude,
making YouTube videos, and then they fucked with me. And now I have this whole other side of me that I'm like, you know, like now I get to fight you guys.
Right.
Like I live in Holly Ridge, North Carolina. There's 2,500 fucking people here. Why are you, out of all people in this city, why fuck with this guy?
Right.
I don't
I'm paying
understand.
tax dollars. I'm
Yeah.
part of the fucking solution, man.
Yeah. Why fuck with me? But you did. So now you get a different version of me.
Right.
You know? And now you escalate that to a several other levels, and it gets real dark real fast.
Right.
You know?
I think a solution that should have been done in the hindsight of this is when things got locked down, I wish the government would have done, okay, so the essential businesses we're going to keep open have to be local. Give them a chance to fucking survive instead of just keep Home Depot open. Like, let the mom and pop hardware store give it a go.
Yeah.
But I know where the tax revenue comes from for the city.
Right.
I know the game we're playing. You just follow the money, man.
And we're a liquor controlled state. Think those stores ever shut down?
Nope.
Oh,
or how fucking weird is the fact that, I mean, how many people are locked up for marijuana offenses in our country that we have demonized this product for fucking 40 years, 60 years, or however long prohibition's been, and now we've named it essential? Oh, white people started doing drugs. This is essential now. Let's keep this open. Yeah. You fucking twats.
Oh man. But it'll be interesting because he's not gonna pull any punches. That's for sure.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be real fucking interesting. I will, however, of the circus that this next election will be, they can't put Biden on stage to talk against Trump, right? Like, they have to be trying to figure out a way to avoid that.
They are avoiding it, but personally, I'm looking forward.
Oh, same.
To watching that,
because, look, I don't like Donald Trump, but you're dealing with a black belt of bullshit. This motherfucker can talk, and he's gonna tear Biden apart.
He can't. I mean, Biden can't even form a sentence.
No, it's essentially like they put a stand-up comic against Biden in a roast battle. Like this fucking old man who's fallen asleep at the podium, Sleepy Joe. This crazy orange-haired monster is going to fucking rip him to shreds.
If it happens, which I think it has to happen.
It has to.
It has to happen. It's going to have to be the most publicized, watched event ever.
Except, dude, what a weird
worldwide. Worldwide.
And we agree that the best way for us to get information from these two people to choose our president is you have 10 seconds to respond. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Let these people talk long form. Why? I just don't understand that. Like, if you were running for that office, like, why wouldn't you start a YouTube channel and be able to explain your platform in depth?
Well, if you look at some of the younger congressmen, that's exactly what they do. Right. They get on social media and they crush it.
Right, because they have time for the long form conversation.
And I think that I think if our country survives and everything doesn't go to shit, then I think eventually that natural progression of social media, and if it doesn't get censored, will happen. I think that one of these times it will be more than just Twitter. I think that you'll have a very educated candidate that, if they can break through the wall, will be able to have those kind of long form.
Hope so. I hope that we move to that.
Yeah.
Like allowing people to hold conversations and do that instead of it having to be this fucking yelling match for a talking point.
For 10 seconds.
Right. Because I got to make sure I get the headline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah, I think. I mean, if you look at what's happening, especially in Texas with the congressman in Texas and all the people that are running there. I mean, they're. I mean, look at the lady in Baltimore that took to social media. Like, hard to fight that.
Yep.
Because it's like, here's 12
because
minutes.
It's the people actually choosing.
Yeah, it's 12 minutes of facts.
Yep.
It's like, that's it. I'm not sharing my agenda. These are just facts laid out.
But we've also made a point in our country where people prefer the facts to shift to what is comfortable for them.
Yeah, right.
And
Right.
so that goes back to us being responsible for being, this is the information we tell them we want.
Yeah. But it will be interesting over the next, I'd say 20, 30 years of what politics looks like with the growth of social media and the growth of, being able to get away from a Fox News interview. And we even do it here. Like I've been interviewed because of the gym situation.
Right.
And Allie's behind them with a camera rolling the whole time because we don't know how that's going to get cut up.
Yep.
And so that way I can control the narrative on
Goddamn
my
right.
end.
You have
and it's
to.
like, yeah. So like,
if not, you have to take responsibility for, you gave them that freedom.
So here's the interview. And then they go, they go look up at me and they're like, oh, here's the actual interview, not a freaking stitch cut.
Right.
This is what Nick said. And I think that it will be very interesting over the next 20, 30 years to watch candidates and watch people that really give a shit about our country and give a shit about people kind of grow into that. And hopefully that does happen.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that we're not hearing still more about Epstein shit, if we're not still hearing about, what does our country actually stand for anymore? It's like a hard line that we're not going to cross, because it's not civilians getting killed. It's not pedophilia.
Not pedophiles. Yeah, it's not pedophilia.
Man, it's especially traveling around for the last 8 weeks. And America's awesome.
Absolutely.
We live in one of the coolest fucking landscapes on earth. Like from Miami to the Pacific Northwest, or to Sedona, the variation this country has is unreal. Yeah. Doesn't exist anywhere else. Americans, we're tricky.
You're losing your sight. I still believe that this is the greatest country in the world.
I believe this is. I don't know that I believe the people are anymore.
I think that and I want to believe that there are.
I mean, so it's back to that newsroom scene right at the very beginning of that show with Jeff Daniels. Like,
yeah,
what metric are you measuring that we're the best? We're the best in number of civilians incarcerated.
I think that if you go to any other country and you can, and I've got family in many, if you look at what we have opportunity wise and what you and I can do opportunity wise, and then the freedoms that are still laws, granted, sometimes you have to fight for those freedoms, even though they're established laws. I still think that we're the greatest country because of that. And if that's not the truth, then why are people from Europe trying to come here? Why are people from South America trying to come here? Because
there's also plenty of people leaving. People go a lot of different directions, right? But I do agree with you. I still believe that the opportunity in America for self-betterment.
But I think never before have we been on a cusp of that not being the case.
Yeah. And I really think for that to go forward and fix, we have to admit some fuck ups.
Yeah.
Again, like you can't fix things if you don't ever realize something was wrong.
Right.
And look, we're not all created equal. We aren't starting from the same place. Like I remember there was a thing I saw someone do, and it was like, we all lined up for a race, big, let's just say a cross section of America. We all lined up for a race. And it was like, all right, if your parents are divorced, take a step back. If you are of a minority, take a step back. If you are LGBTQ, take a step back. If, any of these type of things, right? That if you were born in this state, like probably take a step back. Like, what's your education level? Take a step back. Okay, now we'll start the race. And I mean, that's okay. We weren't ever even. We never have been from the history of fucking time. But we got to quit pretending like the evenness was entitled to us.
Right. And that's where I'm very appreciative the way even though I struggled growing up, grew up poor, high school dropout, 2 felonies by under the age of 18, So like all of this stuff that's like people I hear like, well, I grew up in this area. Yeah, man, Section 8 housing. I get it. Yeah,
Yep.
been there. Trailer parks. Yep, been there. Not having enough, eating shit food and wearing dumpster clothes. Yeah,
Right.
got it. But this is the reason why that I think that I believe in this country is because the only person that was in charge of my success or my failure was me.
And that's responsible. You can't change the starting line.
Yeah.
But what you decide to do from there and how to run the race is your call.
I easily could have stayed where I was at, been poor, lived in a fucking trailer park, and complained about everything. Been on drugs.
Yep.
Gotten incarcerated for life, stayed on that path if I wanted to, and then been a victim because of my lifestyle or my life the whole time.
So with your background and your kind of, shift in, mindset of all those type of things, how do you think something like a 2-year mandatory service after high school would change America?
I think it'd be great.
I do too.
I don't think that
despite that, I'm glad I didn't have to do it.
But I don't think that everybody has to go into combat arms, right? It's just you have to do something of someone else.
So someone else. I've recently made some friends out in Utah and I've been spending more time out there. They're all Mormon. And so I'm learning more about that sect.
Yeah. They have to do 2 years mission time. Yeah.
And what I didn't know about the mission is, you don't pick where you're sent.
Nope.
At all. Anywhere on earth. Boom. Gone.
You ain't got no money.
No money. You don't pick your partner. Mm-hmm. And they rotate your fucking partner every couple months. So you don't even get the same dude to bond with the whole time.
Nope.
Then, it's immersive. You may go to a place you don't speak the fucking language. They put you in a 10-week immersive course to get the language down before they send you. Yeah. And you come out of the backside of that different.
The same way, my Greek side of my family, they have 2 years.
Right.
And it's not about you. You have to go do this thing for the government.
And look,
part of servitude.
You're forced to get along with and work with someone with a completely different background and history to you.
And live in close proximity in a room with some other asshole.
If our businesses involved a door-to-door type sales, I'm hiring Mormons.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fucking no-brainer. In fact, if I'm hiring sales reps,
yeah,
these kids have no problem being told no.
So, and this is the reason why up until my daughter was 18, I made my daughters live in the same room. I have a 4-bedroom house. They did not need to live in the same bedroom.
Sure.
But that was one thing that I could control to get them to understand, to respect someone other's space. Whether they did it well or not is regardless. It's just the fact that you have to learn, and this is something that we learn in the military, is people are assholes.
People are assholes, man.
You have to learn how to deal with other human beings.
Right.
But most people don't ever experience that. So they're no, I need my personal space with my personal blanket and my perfect little temperature. And then when they don't get that, they throw a fucking temper tantrum as an adult.
Look at dogs, right? That if yappy, shitty, snappy dogs that are anxiety driven and panicked are because they don't ever leave their house and they're only exposed to one person.
Yeah.
What dogs behave really well? Homeless people's dogs. Because they're around people all the time and they survive.
And they're happy.
Well, because the world's bigger.
Yeah.
Because they understand things a little bit different than the one who's lived in the fucking 900 square foot house or fucking 5,000 square foot house by itself with no interaction other than one person.
Well, it kind of sums up this whole podcast. Is basically people need to be, I think that's the reason why I continue to push myself in areas of struggle, because it gives me that perspective of what I currently have.
Yeah, right. That it's the empathy side of things that
Yeah.
you can kind of see both sides,
Great
and
word.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You know,
Most people in America have never truly struggled, have
no,
never really pushed themselves to a place of complete and utter failure.
look, things are so good that we get to choose the stress right now that we want our bodies
Right.
to adapt to.
Right.
This hasn't happened in human history before.
Right.
It's great.
Yeah.
Like I do fake work to build muscles I don't need.
Right.
And you have to expose yourself to stuff. Like that's how you build resilience. It's
Yeah.
being in uncomfortable situations. It's listening to other people's thing. Like it'd be so easy for me to go to Utah and hear something about Mormons and go, Jesus, that's crazy, and then never educate myself on it.
Right.
You know, aren't they just polygamist? Like, no, like there's a lot going on.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that I find kooky as fuck, but I find that about all religions.
But
there's a lot of fucking good.
But I want to know all of it.
But they're nice. They're polite.
Yeah.
And
they can work with other people
across the board.
And they take care of their own.
And from what I understand, most of them are wildly fucking successful. It's pretty fucking weird.
But why is that?
I think it's the exposure. I think that mission trip, man, changes a lot in people.
But what it instills is hard fucking work,
dude.
All the people that I know, and I'm the same. I've go out to Utah a lot. I've got one of them sits on the board. We have a Mormon that sits on the board of the Raider Project. You know the difference is they all work so hard.
Yo, dude, the mission thing would be rough.
And they don't take this victim mentality for anything. Anything.
Nope. They're at the wheel.
Yep.
Like, man,
shit happens. Got it.
That's a part of it too. That like by me taking responsibility for the good or the bad,
yeah,
it keeps me in the driver's seat, and that's where I want to fucking be. I'll take the pass and failure and the risk as long as I didn't fail because of decisions you made.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Like 100% like, dude, game's on the line. Who wants the ball? I'll fucking take it. I'm happy with this. Pass or fail, fine by me.
Yeah.
I will take a shot at performing when it counts instead of like, we should let him do it. No fucking way.
But if I fail, it's on me.
Fine. Totally fine by me.
I'll take
that blame.
Yeah, I'll take the
I'm okay with you all thinking I failed. That's fine.
Right.
But I didn't sit there and allow someone else to fail on my behalf.
And then point the finger and be like, you fumbled.
You ruined my happiness.
Yeah.
No, thanks. How fucking fragile are you, right? Like you're so fucking like let someone else can control your fucking mind.
Yeah, no thanks. I got the ball.
Yeah, it's mine.
It's mine.
You're not welcome here.
Yeah.
Dude.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was 2 hours. That was fun.
Awesome.
It's a good time. Where else? What can everyone find you? What you got going on? How do they support what you got going?
Just go to hatebrands.com, use code Raider, save some money. I think that code still works.
Perfect. It still works.
No, man, it's same stuff. If you can spell my name, you can find me on the YouTubes.
That's tricky.
Yeah. Go buy yourself some pomade.
Yeah.
I need to send you some pomade. Look at that.
That's early. I took a shower.
I watched it.
I haven't got this wreck together yet.
As
an unemployed gentleman, I don't leave home much if I'm home.
I need to find what scent Bonnie likes and make sure we just keep you a nice fresh supply of that.
The ladies' body wash you guys sent out is good.
The lavender one?
The one that's all 80s styled.
We got rid of it.
It's because there's glitter in it?
No, we got rid of it because it was all organic. The whole thing's organic. But when you use certain clays and certain things to make it look neonish, people don't, not to make the podcast longer, but people don't think it's organic. They think it's like chemicals. So we're rebranding, and then in Black Friday we're going to more of like the organic kind of vibe of Mrs. Slicks. But yeah, I think the one you're talking about has lavender in it, which dudes like lavender, especially guys that like
I ain't
want
mad
to.
at lavender.
Yeah, exactly. Because
I
we
like
want to.
smelling nice.
We actually have a new one called Johnny Z's. It's an oil
For sleep.
for sleep
Ooh.
that has lavender in it, so that you've listened to Jeff's in my like sleep protocol where you use certain smells.
You have a certain
and things.
smell to Pavlovian response yourself into sleep every night. I use a new smell called marijuana.
Hey, that's the thing.
And usually 50 milligrams of an edible will go ahead and slide her right out of there.
So anyways, we've got that working into because, we give a shit about people. So we nixed that because it just didn't, as cool as it was, it didn't resonate with the like all organic, healthy brand of grooming products that we are.
That adds up.
I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, especially it's not any fun if you have to over explain that like, it is organic.
They're like, but it's neon.
There's no color in nature like that.
Well,
dude, let me punch out of this real quick. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week.